If you've looked into day trading before and you're overwhelmed by the vast amounts of information out there on the internet, then this video is going to be for you. Today, I'm going to share how I got started in day trading, the mistakes, the wins, and what I wish I'd known before I ever entered my first trade. My name is Chandler McElmurray, and I've been an average trader for 3 years. I do want to clarify, I'm not a full-time day trader at this point. In fact, I'm still very much learning the whole process and still progressing, but I do use my current sales job as my main source of income. I do want to share some of the things that I wish I had known before I jumped into day trading that would have helped me cut my learning curve in half. So to preface, I've always been super interested in investing into real estate and the stock market, and worked in my current sales job for the last 6 years, but I've always been super curious about diving into the world of day trading. The idea that I could make money from literally anywhere in the world was incredibly appealing. But at the time, I didn't realize how much discipline and emotional control that it would take. I really started the same way that a lot of people do. I watched YouTube videos, I did a lot of Google searching, even looking some online forums to figure out what I needed to do to get started day trading. If you're like me, then a lot of the terminology and indicators, resistance, supports, a lot of that information soon became pretty overwhelming. And I realized I was biting off a lot more than I could chew. So I spent a lot of time researching. In fact, probably too much time, in my opinion, looking back. And this is kind of one of my hot takes. In reality, you don't need to know everything before jumping in. In fact, actually getting screen time and spending time actually trading is going to help progress your learning a lot quicker than spending time researching or watching videos on YouTube will. It's very similar to playing or learning a sport. If you think of something like basketball, you can do all the research that you want. You can watch YouTube videos, try to figure out drills, and even reading some forums. But until you actually get out there and start dribbling, passing, and shooting, you're not gonna really learn to develop those skills. That's when I realized that all the research that I had done was not giving me as much value as I had previously thought. When I actually jumped into trading, my first trade was profitable, and it actually gave me a pretty big confidence boost going into my next few trades, but I quickly became humbled and learned the emotional side. The biggest lesson early on wasn't really about strategies, indicators, or the charts. It was more about learning about myself. Day trading is going to be an extremely emotional process. Everyone is emotionally tied to the money that they have and that they trade with, which really affects their decisions moving forward. You can study setups all day, but if you can't control fear or greed, you'll honestly just end up blowing up your account like I did. I had to learn to trade small, focus on consistency, and stop trying to get rich quick. A lot of people on the internet show huge, massive wins when it comes to trading, but in reality, you're just looking for smaller, consistent wins every single day. I honestly believe one of the best things that did help me in my trading process was to actually not paper trade. Now, for those of you who don't know, paper trading is trading on the live market with fake money. When you paper trade, you don't have the emotional attachment to your money like you would actually trading with real money. And in fact, that was one of the more difficult parts for me, was actually separating my emotions from the money that I was using to trade. Now, I do believe that in some aspects, paper trading can be helpful, like understanding the platform that you're using to trade, understanding how to enter and exit trades. But when actually testing out your strategies and developing a trader's mindset, I believe it's only going to hurt you. So instead, my advice would be to actually trade with real money, but trade with something that you are absolutely 100% willing to lose. Even a trade where you're risking $5 or even $10, there's still going to be a small emotional attachment to that. And the idea is that you kind of want to bring in those emotions. That way you can figure out how to manage and control them. Now that I've been trading for a few years at this point, I still consider myself an average trader. I'm not a top 1% trader. I'm honestly not even good enough to coach, but I'm giving my pieces of advice in hopes that average individual can get into a space like this and learn some of the things that took me years to learn. So one of the things that I really focus on now is I treat my trading like a business. Structured, it's disciplined, and data-driven. Now don't get me wrong, I still make plenty of mistakes when I trade, but I found a nice consistent rhythm that fits my lifestyle and goals. I'm sharing my journey because I want to be completely transparent about what it really looks like, not just the highlight reels. Like I mentioned, I'm not a full-time trader. In fact, it doesn't even make up up a substantial part of my income yet. But I hope by being completely transparent that you'll be able to understand that trading isn't gonna be a get-rich-quick scheme, but really takes time and patience learning the skill. If you're just starting out, or even just curious about day trading, my best advice is gonna be take it really slow. Focus on learning and be completely honest with yourself about risk. On this channel, I'm gonna be sharing some of my strategies, lessons, and updates as I continue to trade and build financial freedom. So if that's something that you're into, hit subscribe and follow along. We will learn and grow together.